Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of On the Wrong Lead Live. And, every week we get closer and closer to Breeders' Cup, get closer and closer to a degenerate weekend at Caleb's. Very, very excited. We got a couple weeks left of Keeneland. I think we got this next weekend and then maybe a couple more days. And then we're going to be right into the Breeders' Cup. But I'm going to get things started with Mr. Mark Habitant. Mark, you said something today that you probably thought you would never ever say. You don't remember?
I don't remember what specifically I said now.
Josh,
No.
You're playing Aqueduct and I'm not.
Oh, that did happen. Yes, it did happen. I was, you were playing the duct. I was not playing the duct, and it felt a little odd, I mean, if one of us is going to be playing the duct on a random Thursday, it's normally not Josh.
I was in dire straits today. I was just like, I couldn't make heads or tails of Keeneland today. And,
Dude,
I went to the duct.
Today, Keeneland today made so much sense while making zero sense. That early pick 5, there's a couple times a year where you look back and you're like, boy, I should have really tackled that sequence. And because I knew there was a lot of price potential there, and I didn't realize just how spot on I would be and how much I would be kicking myself after the fact that I left a scoop on the table, and that would have been cool.
Yeah, there's one. I have one, which is the one that got away, that like still to this day when I think about it tilts me. And it was, remember when Nairo went to the 20-cent pick 6 for a while?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember that it might have been
I remember
Aqueduct.
you being alive to a monster. It was it was Winter Duct, right? It was like spring or winter.
It was, dude. It was some stupid. I had like some 40-1 horse to start it out, and I think the horse I missed was like, it was like a 4-1, the 6-1 horse that like made a ton of sense.
Yeah,
and it was like I want to say that our friend Brian, Mr. Backclass, I think he had it like singled, or it was like his top pick in that race, and I tossed the horse. And I want to say that the pick 6 paid $108,000, and I went 5 of 6 on it.
On a 20-cent.
Ooh. And it was a 20-cent. Yeah, it was because it was a carryover. It was like the 4-out. It was absolutely nuts.
But before you bring Caleb in, I pulled a Caleb today. I was playing a Twin Spires tournament, and I completely mispunched my wager. And it was me being not used to a new interface and not realizing that, if there's a like 1 and a 1A or a scratch, that they're on a different line and one of those deals, and I clicked the 8 instead of the 9, and it didn't cost me a tournament or anything. It didn't cost me a placing.
But did it win you a tournament?
It did not. But I'm not. I do not have that much of a feel for the Bill Mott firsters, and but the one and only Caleb Knight does.
Caleb, can you teach him how to mispunch a ticket and win a tournament, please?
Yeah, I mean, it really isn't that hard. You just, I don't know what you. We'll work on it over Breeders' Cup.
Okay, good. If you could teach me how to mispunch a ticket and win a BCBC seat, that'd be cool. Because I've been trying to do that, and I've been winning a lot of cash, but not winning BCBC seats. I can win other things, just not BCBC seats.
Yeah, it's been tough.
Oh yeah, Stephen Fox coming in saying that you cost him a pick 6 recently. So, Caleb, I guess none of us are perfect.
Stephen is using some very creative logic there.
Even Mark's defending me. That's how you know it's true.
That is, yeah. Because I was there when we talked this through, and that's creative.
Uncle Sully came in hot today. He said episodes 157. Episodes starting on time few. Number of episodes started early, 0.0.
Wait, is Nick Severs is in chat. So shout out to Nick Severs before we get too far into this. Congrats on getting himself into a 1K seat for the Keeneland BCBC. for Saturday. He played a very good tournament. The two of us were chatting back and forth on Twitter. He actually gave me a lot of insight. I completely whiffed my late play. Fine, those happen. I didn't use the chalk, and the chalk wired, so that happens. But congrats on him. A very, very nicely played tournament for him, and he gets to take a shot at getting himself a BCBC seat, which is always fun.
Uncle Sully saying over under the number of shots slammed by Penn State Scott on Saturday, 25.5.
Oh,
Yeah, he says, evening boys, drink up. My coach was showing the door. Need to hit a big pick 5 to pay the next one. Caleb, I think you could probably commiserate because, I mean, West Virginia has not exactly been back to its glory days lately, and they've had a little bit of a coaching carousel the last decade or so, haven't they?
we beat Pitt in an incredible backyard brawl this year. Like, my season's fine.
The one game that matters.
Yes.
Yeah. If like you're the Auburn, it's the thing. If you're like the Auburn coach, you have to win one game a year to keep your job. There is one game that matters, you know.
And speaking of drinking, I have a barrel, private release. So this was a 2020 barrel pick, or 2022, sorry, barrel pick. It's a whiskey finished in a Barbados rum cask. So I actually got 2 bottles of this, and this is, I think, the second one from that batch. So it's very, very good. Mark, what do you got? You got anything?
I'm just drinking a little wine tonight. Depending on Caleb's terrible takes in certain races, I may have to go get some mead because that does happen. But no, just a little wine for the night.
I think Caleb's just drinking cough syrup tonight.
I've got
like he should bring
more
drinking
tea.
any alcohol.
More tea. There you go. Penn State Scott said need to focus on a search cross-country tour on his way to Breeders. Needs to find a winner for the big games. Nick Sievers echoing what we were saying a little bit. Keeneland was so strange.
It was strange and also not strange. I think I agree with him that Keeneland tends to be a track, and I think specifically Keeneland Fall, where the board tends to have it right. The favorites tend to win. It tends to be a very smart betting public at that fall meet. Today was a day where the betting public was not smart. But I think most of the horses that won made sense. I was a flared nostril hair away from having a very stupidly good day. That one horse that almost got up. But otherwise, I thought it made a lot of sense. I mean, the only really crazy horse was the $80 or $90 horse at race 2, but it was a very wide open maiden affair. I didn't think anybody really towered. I thought that was the only quote unquote hard horse to have.
Yeah, Nick Sievers is sharing your sentiment about the Twin Spires tournaments. Not enough BCBC seats in the 1K tournament. Too many KDBC seats. I guess I'm not as anti KDBC as you are, Mark. I feel like you're in the middle, or Caleb. Sorry, I feel like you're in the middle. Like you probably would take it or leave it. Like you're gonna play that day anyways. But Mark, I feel like you're just like fuck it, I don't want it. Like
that's not it. It's the thing of, if you're somebody and you're like, I want to play this tournament, then I want tournaments that specifically target that tournament. Like I want to play a qualifier which specifically targets the BCBC. I don't want to finish where there's a BCBC tournament where the top 3 get seats and 4th place gets a KDBC seat. I was targeting a BCBC seat and I finished 4th. That's the biggest kick in the nuts you can ever have. And so you want these tournaments, you want structures that target the things you want. If you want an NHCC, I want things that target NHCCs. If it's BCBC, if it's KDB, whatever. And the thing is, the KDBC you're talking 7 months out from the Derby. Like, why are we, juicing up KDBC seats? Like, come on, man.
I mean, we know why. We know why.
Like, we know why is doing it,
but like,
it's inside money for them.
No, Nick Sievers, take it back. You don't want the seat. You already said you don't want it. All right, I don't want to hear you say that you really want one. All right,
Nick. If I beat you on Saturday and I get a KDBC seat, you can have it.
What's the KDBC seat worth? What's
I don't know. What's like a 3K?
Is it 3K? I thought it was more than that.
3K.
The buy-in?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's 6K.
6K?
I think
I didn't spend that much on it, and I did it all to muck with Mike.
All right, Caleb.
No, I got it on a qualifier.
Okay, it's 5K. Nick, you were saying 5K.
Is it 5? Okay.
Caleb, gun to your head. 4K in cash or 5K KDBC seat?
Probably cash.
Cash
okay,
all
uh-huh.
day. That's not even a question. Cash all day.
Okay.
I mean, I don't mind KDDC. I'd be excited to win a seat, but it's not something I target. It's not like NHC where if I want to see it, I don't even know. I'd go to Vegas for a reason.
Yo,
Vegas,
you know,
but I wouldn't like.
you fucking liar.
Yeah, but
oh,
I wouldn't be
wouldn't go
excited
to
about it.
Vegas.
But here's the problem: is if you want a Vegas seat, you'd probably win it through like BCBC, where they don't pay for
I
your
do not play
airfare or
any
room.
of the exclusive NHC like horse player stuff. No.
Most of the if you play something like BCBC and you finish whatever top 15 and get an NHC seat, they don't pay for airfare or room anymore. So yeah, you get an entry, but you don't get anything else.
Nick Seaver says he wants a seat badly, but he wants to win in a Turfway. So that's fair enough.
Okay. I mean, I will say I played it last year. It was a fun tournament. It made it that I didn't fire away at cash, which was great. I won it on a Friday qualifier at Gulfstream Park, but yeah, it's fine. But I don't know. I mean, to me, like the pinnacle is always BCBC, and that's what I want.
Yeah. All right, we got a pick six we're going to talk about here. Now, myself, I don't play the pick six at Keeneland unless there's a carryover, right? My bankroll just can't sustain playing the pick six. But the reason I figured we should cover the pick six is because it covers the late pick five, and it's going to cover the turf pick three, which is a bet that I play basically every time they offer it. So I figured this would be good. Good little discussion. We get a little extra race to talk about here, yeah, we're going to start with a turf allowance race here for 3-year-olds and up. We're going 5.5 furlongs here. And your morning line favorite in this race is No Balls, the 10. Man. I mean, I don't know.
Back in the day?
Yeah, geez, man. Like, it's just, like how far he's fallen. He's been hard up for wins this year. Had that nice win in an allowance race at Churchill, but I think the 6-year-old is definitely on a bit on the downslope a little bit. Although like I kind of look at this field, and I think like if he won this race, I don't think I would necessarily be like super surprised, right? Like it's not like if he wins this race, at 5-2 or something, I'm gonna be like, oh, I can't believe he's back, like. This is probably a field he should be beating, but I'm kind of going a couple of different directions, I think, here. I actually really, really like the one Wendelson coming off the long layoff, but I got a couple of issues, right? Like one, you got to go back pretty far for his last time he was sprinting on the turf, right? And obviously that figure doesn't match up with what he's been doing on the dirt. But, it's been a bit here, 4-year-old now. And, I think it's kind of interesting that you see IRED get aboard here for Chris Hartman. Now, the problem is I'm pretty sure, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Chris Hartman is on like some absolute just insane skid right now, where he's like won for his like last like 70 or something like that. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but I could have sworn I saw Ed DeRosa post a stat about that. I'm sure Nick Sievers will kind of correct me if I'm wrong there. But so my top pick's actually going to be probably your second choice here, the 2 Script. I just think that this is kind of like the now horse, right? This is the horse that you kind of go back and you look through the form. This is the horse that's strung together some pretty decent races here. Obviously, he's got a second in the Woodford 2 weeks ago here at Keeneland. So has run over the surface pretty well. Gets John Velasquez to stay aboard here. George Arnold is always live at Keeneland. So I think the 2 Script is my top pick. Is going to be my lone A in here. But I will have Wendelson on a couple of tickets in here as well. Mark, where did you land here? You're on mute.
What's his best opinion he's had all day?
Man, it's like I'm back at work, man. Like just telling people, hey, you're on mute. What the heck is going on here? All right, Caleb. While Mark figures out what's going on, why don't you tell me where you landed here?
Yeah, I agree with you on Script, Josh. I think that's debatably your most likely winner of this race. Once they finally kind of realize this horse is arguably a turf sprinter after the barn change. A horse has responded with a nice win at Kentucky Downs and then a really good second to the Euro Invader Kadim. So I thought that was a good race there. Does wheel back on relatively short rest as a 6-year-old gelding coming off of what was, probably a pretty big effort. So a little bit concerned about that. But honestly, the horse definitely fits the race. I couldn't get to Wendelson. Chris Hartman won for at least his last 72. I didn't go back farther than that. Also, the turf form hasn't really held up for this horse. I get that he might have a little bit of speed, but just not a horse that I could probably get to here. I'm also not on no balls at all. I agree with your kind of opinion exactly, Josh. If he wins this race, I'm not going to be, oh my God, Breeders' Cup bound. He's back. This field's not great. He probably could beat this field, but I just think he's going to take too much money, and he's just not a horse that I've had any interest in betting for quite a while now, given the odds he tends to go off at. So there was, in addition to the script, there was maybe 2 horses I want to talk about. One of them is the number 7 Determined Kingdom. I don't see a ton of pace in this race. So I do think that a horse that's somewhat forward is going to be at an advantage compared to a super deep closer. And then on top of that, this is a horse that, you get Saez, and admittedly, I was a bit of a skeptical of that Mid-Atlantic form when I first looked at this horse. But if you go back, by far the best race of his career came at Keeneland last fall on October 25th, where he kind of sat a few lengths off of a fairly quick pace and then just turned on the jets, turning for home. Won in hand by 2.5 lengths. Beat No Nay Hudson, a half decent, Wesley Ward horse, good turf sprinter anyway, who'd be a player in this race had he showed up. So I don't know, that race does kind of stick out in the form a little bit. Maybe he doesn't run back to it, but I also kind of wonder. It was just such a big move forward on this turf course, and this is a horse who's 10 for 22 at this distance. He loves to turf sprint, so I like Determined Kingdom in here, and I think Saez, who was aboard for that win, getting back on here is a little bit telling. So I like the 7. And the other one is probably a bit more, what I think will ultimately be a bit more of a price, which is the number 5, Dabob. And this is a horse who maybe needs to get a little faster on raw figures, given what we've seen from him so far. But I think he's had a couple of excuses. In his last 2 races, really, he was stuck behind really slow paces. Time Form has both of those paces color-coded as blue, indicating that not a very fast pace. And he put in really big runs to come from the back of the pack to get up for, 2nd and 3rd, respectively, in the 2-back and most recent race. And that was at Kentucky Downs and at Ellis. The winner 2-back Dawn Show did return to win again. And this is a horse that if he gets a fairly run race, he actually beat Script and Let My People Go back at Churchill on June 4th of this year. So he's one that I do think will need some help in front of him, and I'm not sure he's going to get it. But if we end up getting a fairly run race, or the track is just playing a little more towards closers, he's one that I think will go off at double digits that has a better chance than I think people will give him credit for. So I'll be using a little bit of the 5.
Mark? Mark's opinions have never been better.
Should we just nod like we can hear him?
Yeah, see if he What happened now? Why? What did you do now, Mark? Like, what in the world? There he goes. Just so you guys know, we had some technical issues to start, which is why we were late. Which I think we say every week. So shout out to us. You would think at this point we would have figured this whole thing out, but apparently not. But once we got that resolved.
Okay, let's try this again.
Oh, there you go with the white
got
background.
the audio, we lost the video. That's fine.
Well, that's okay. That doesn't really matter. Nobody wants to see me anyways. That's what Caleb's here for. No. Okay, lost my train of thought. Can no balls win? Sure. I don't know. I think you guys already kind of mentioned this is a bit of a soft version of this race. Don't hate no balls. Obviously, there's probably no horse in training that's maybe more money than no balls. I think he historically is not like Keeneland, and I don't love the draw. And he basically wins one race a year, and he's already won one race this year. So, I think he's a hard horse to really love in this spot. To me, I think Josh kind of said it. I think Script is your most, a very, very sort of interesting horse that is in this spot. And Johnny V gets up, which I always do like to see. But, I think the horse that is my kind of cute wise guy horse, and I know Caleb already talked about the 7 Deterministic Kingdom, who I do like in this spot, but I think the 3 horse Mustache is really interesting in here. If you look at horses that have had some really good efforts at Keeneland, Mustache is arguably 2 of his best race of his career came at Keeneland. Both the spring and the fall last year, he ran, absolutely ran his eyeballs out here. And he ran everybody's fastest. Actually, he's run faster races in 2 races last year at Keeneland than anybody else has in this race. So, I think if I need to get a little cute in here, I realize Vicky Oliver has not had the greatest of meets so far. She's been over 12 or something, but I think Mustache sits a pretty nice trip just off the speeds. Likes this trip, likes this distance, likes this track. So I think for me, Mustache is probably my top pick in the spot.
All right. Anything else in this race? All right. Let's move on to the meme race, Perryville. Going 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds here, grade 3. And your morning line favorite is the number 5, Captain Cook, at 6-5 in this race. You get 5-2 on Barnes. You get 4-1 on Owen Almighty. I look at these horses and I just laugh. 6-1 on Taylor's version, 8-1 on Gaming, 12-1 on Rolando. Caleb, I'll let you go. Where the hell did you land in this race?
It's a shame somebody has to win this race. This is like the hall of shame for absolute dud washout horses, except for Rolando. You get a pass. Rolando, you're probably the horse that actually kind of should be here, maybe. And maybe Taylor's version as well. I mean, horses that aren't just here because they don't know where else to go, but perhaps are here with some kind of an intention. Excuse me. I don't know what to do in this race. I mean, to be honest, at first glance, it seems like there is a lot of speed in the race, but I'm not really sure how many of these horses truly want to go on the front versus sit kind of second. I do think a horse like the number 2, Taylor's version, is probably your most likely leader, but this is a lightly raced horse who I guess is going, the right direction, but not really sure that he's, quite this good. I will say I want nothing to do with Barnes. I just don't think this horse is as talented as other people do. Getting beat at 2-5 at Parks last time out is a tough one to swallow. I even give him a pass for, maybe the Jerkins where he ran a decent race, but that Parks race was terrible. The San Anita race before that was pretty terrible. There might be a good race in this horse somewhere, but I never know where it's going to come from or where it's going to be. Captain Cook's a bit of a harder call for me. I mean, this is a horse who ran a huge race last time, and there's no doubt about that. But he did it at 20-1, and now you're taking him at 6-5. Admittedly, it's a much weaker field, but again, sort of strikes me as one of those, if you miss the wedding runners, don't go to the funeral. And I just don't know, really what kind of trip this horse gets. And I don't know if Irad's going to be as aggressive as Santana was last time. I know he went to the lead in the max field, but that probably was not a recipe for success that day. So I don't know. It's just a tough race for me, to be honest. I mean, it's the kind of race where I could buy it in terms of a pick 6, or I could buy it and leave off the favorite or the top 2 favorites maybe and buy the remaining 4. I think it's more interesting from like a betting perspective than a handicapping perspective. I just really don't know who's going to run in this race. I'd be inclined to take a shot with the lightly raced runners, like the number 2, Taylor's version, even though I don't know if she's quite that good. I think this is a much more intentional placement for her versus somebody like Gaming, who, I mean, Baffert's got 2 in here. I don't know which one is supposed to be well meant. I mean, Gaming on the cutback feels a bit strange to me. Barnes in general has always felt strange to me. So I'd probably go Taylor's version if I had to. Maybe a little bit of Rolando, just kind of take the 2 most likely leaders and hope one of them shakes loose. But this is not a race I have any true opinion in.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I was just saying, Taylor's version of the story, is Gary the dad or is it somebody else?
Gary's the sire.
Gary's the sire.
Wrong
okay.
Taylor.
Okay, cool. Good. Wrong Taylor.
I'm pretty sure it's Taylor Swift.
Damn it. Okay. Oh, damn
Because
it.
didn't she remaster all her like albums, and now like they all say Taylor's version or something now. Um,
I hope nobody knows the
Dude,
answer to that.
dude,
I'm
not
pretty
my
sure that's what it is.
genre. It's
Like
not my
honestly,
jam.
dude, like Caleb, I don't like any of the short prices in this race. Like I don't think you can take 6 to 5 on Captain Cook. I think you said it perfectly. Like you didn't go to the wedding, don't go to the funeral. Barnes is just like I don't know. I don't want to touch this horse because they tried cutting this horse back, and the Jerkins, like you said. I think maybe you make a little bit of an excuse, right? You get the little baby Z pattern in there, but then just comes back at 2 to 5 and just does not run at all at Parks, and Parks, if I remember correctly, is generally a place that Bob ships pretty well to, and has had success shipping horses into it. So, it's not like he was like shipping. Like Saratoga, I feel like Bob's horses don't always run well shipping to Naira, but I feel like when they've shipped to Parks, they've been pretty good. Because then like McKinsey, I know McKinsey was one I think that won like the Pennsylvania Derby. And there's been a bunch of others, but um, I'm on the two inside horses. I think in the spot. Um, Taylor's version, I hate everything about this horse. Like looking at the form, like I don't want a leader in this spot. I do think looking at the pace figures, which I know Caleb hates when I say stuff like this. I don't think that this is like the fastest horse early. So I think that there could be a scenario where maybe this horse just doesn't break right on top like he did last time. So I think maybe there's a chance that Taylor's version tracks more in this spot, and I think you kind of put it the same way I would. This is a horse that's at least looks like it's been kind of steadily improving. Right, it's coming in here off a nice win, and I mean, it's got to make up probably at least 10 time form points, but has made that up in the last two races, right? So maybe does still have that one jump to go. So I like the two in here a bit. I actually like the cutback for gaming. If you go back to gaming's first two starts, sprinting, right? Those are two wins, right? And since this horse is kind of stretched out, I don't think has done as well and has been a bit of a disappointment since stretching out. And so unlike Barnes, we haven't seen what this horse does again on the cutback, right? Coming back to a sprint distance. Barnes, we've already seen it, but gaming, we haven't seen it. You're getting a better price on gaming. And if you kind of go back, and like I said, we're going back to last year. I'm looking at that Del Mar race, the Del Mar Futurity, where gaming came from off the pace to win that. I mean, maybe this is one that is not going to be up involved in that crazy pace scenario. Is going to be able to track, and maybe just pace scenario wise is the one that I want in here. So I'm going to go with the 1 and the 2 in here, and just kind of avoid the shorter prices and see if we can get through here. Mark, I saw you visibly cringe when I said gaming. So I'm guessing you're thinking back to the juvenile where you didn't slam Citizen Bull and gaming as hard as you wanted to, and you're still like reliving that.
I mean, there's a lot of things I relive, and that's on the list somewhere. But no, I mean, I think you guys kind of mentioned improving form, and I get there's all sorts of question marks, but Captain Cook has gotten faster in every single one of his 7 starts. I don't know. He's here because there's no Breeders' Cup race that's probably the right race for him. There are others in this division that are just plain better. And I very much understand Caleb's angle of, hey, I'm going to probably toss the chalk, try to buy the race, try to invent a price. Totally get it. This is not a good rendition of this race. This is a terrible race. Like, it's horrible. It's the who's been of who's bens. Like, it's just like, there are so many unanswered questions, so many horses that just don't want to win races, and you felt like, okay, they've had their setup and they've had their spot a bunch of times and they just can't show up. Of the ones that have, I will admit, I've had a kind of a soft spot for Captain's Cook for a while. I thought he was a cool horse. I think Todd finally has him doing probably what he really should be doing, which is these sort of 1-turn 7 furlong-ish races. Maybe at some point he could be a 1-turn miler. But he does have to put it together and not put it together in winter duct, and kind of cross the wire first. But I think this is probably the right spot. I don't know if he ends up on the lead or if he ends up kind of stalking, somebody like, I don't know, I think Taylor's vision probably has to go. That horse is only one on the front end. So does that allow a Rad to kind of stalk and pounce, which is probably the trip he wants, and that's probably the trip a Rad wants, because a Rad on a speed horse is the scariest thing ever. But I think you just kind of single Captain's Cook. You cringe. You it feels uncomfortable. You feel dirty doing it, and he's just kind of the horse that should win here, right? No,
I don't have the bounce thing anymore, so I'm just gonna use this one.
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't hear anything?
Yeah.
Does that one not work?
We're having a night,
Soundboards
man.
with Mark's mic.
The soundboard's broke. I can't get my mic to work. I couldn't get my background. I mean, it's been a night.
That one not working either?
Nope.
Oh, these jerks. What
I
the
will
heck
say,
happened
though,
here?
I would much prefer Captain Cook with Santana aboard. Like, much prefer him.
All right, so Mark, you were saying who do you think wins this race?
Captain Cook.
That one worked.
Nick Sievers. Although he did say the amount of money he's lost on gaming is going to increase on Saturday.
Ooh, Nick, please don't use gaming as a tournament play. Nick, you know better, Nick. Be better, Nick.
And
Did
then Nick
gaming
Sievers
forget how to pass horses? That was kind of my question with him. I mean,
Did gaming ever know how to pass horses?
well, I mean, he won a grade 1 closing, as a 2-year-old, and then has just turned into this run with my friends kind of horse as a 3-year. And maybe Josh has a point about he doesn't want to go 2 turns and he just doesn't have that kick late, and that's kind of what's going on here. But I don't think you get 8-1. I think he goes off at half that price, to be honest. And I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Nick Sievers saying that I'm correct. He lives in the Taylor household. He won't let his kids know lack of knowledge on this podcast. Stephen Fox also saying Josh is correct. And even though Mark deleted the comment, Ball don't lie, she bought back all her rights and re-released her stuff. So Penn State Scott says Owen's going to win at double this price. I'm Owen Almighty. I tried to get there with this horse because and once again, this is something that I think Caleb hates that I do, is like when you look at pace figures, right? This is the horse with the highest late pace, right? But then you actually look at the horse and you're like, when has this horse passed anybody? You're going back to same thing. You're going back to the Ellis Park Stakes race, which, hey, I guess I'm doing the same thing for gaming, but I'm getting double the price at least on gaming.
So pass horses in his debut and in the Ellis Park Juvenile. Apparently.
Yeah, but I don't get where I guess you get the super high late pace rating for this horse, but you would think on I don't know. If you're gonna look at those pace values at face value, I mean, you look at the pace projector, right? You got the LP flag next to you get the LP flag next to Barnes, right? But I mean, I wouldn't trust Barnes as far as I could throw a mark. So I just I don't know. I think I landed on 2 horses. I'm gonna try and get a price and see what happens. Anything else in this race? Because as Stephen Fox wants to say, we spent probably way too long on a 6-horse race.
He's unbanned. It's been more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
He was only putting time out because he said Josh was right.
That'll teach him. Race 7, we got a 2-year-old filly dirt maiden race going 6 furlongs. Mark, now that your microphone is working, I'll let you go first. Where did you land here?
I would say, I know Matt DeSantis went on quite the rant on his whiteboard about on that pick 6 double carryover day about the fact that Keeneland loves us. Why would they card it like this? Why would they do this to us? This is proof again that Keeneland does not love us, and they just absolutely hate us, because why would they card this race where they carded this race? This race is just absolutely brutal. I think you have to go very, very, very deep in here. here. There's no horse that I really am excited to bet. There's no horse I'm excited to slam. There's no price that I'm like, oh, this horse is going to get ignored by the board. This is just a really, really, really tough maiden race where you, I think, need to be, if you're planning to pick 5, I think you're probably 9 or 10 deep here. You're going to have coverage to a good portion of this race. So I'll go throw out a couple I like. I think the 2-horse Stay in Tune for Steve Asmussen. Asmussen tends to go to some of the bigger name jockeys when he has a live horse. Nick, I've seen the last race. Trust me, bud. I know that they really don't love us by how they carded the last race. Somebody like Stay in Tune. I think when Asmussen goes to the bigger name jockeys, he goes and puts an Ortiz up. He goes and puts a Flavian Pratt up. Those kind of jocks. Normally these horses are a little bit more well meant. So I thought Stay in Tune was a little interesting in here. The 4-horse, obviously Wesley Ward at Keeneland, always a dangerous thing. Glow of a Rose, it does make some interesting, makes a lot of sense here. And getting Joe Rosario up, who obviously does a lot of good things with a lot of these Wes Ward horses. So I thought Glow of the Rose was well met in this spot. The other horse I liked, and again, no surprises here, is the 5-horse Hot Gossip for Brad Cox. We saw that apparently they forgot who Brad Cox was in Kentucky today, and he got a couple of his horses sent off at absolutely absurd prices. So some of us had a very nice day just on those horses alone. So I thought somebody like Hot Gossip, also an interesting horse here. But I mean, maybe somebody has some sort of better angle than I do. But this is just a race you have to have a lot of coverage to.
Caleb?
Yeah, I actually kind of took maybe the opposite angle here. And I see where Mark's coming from about, oh, you need, all the coverage in the world here. It's a tough race, and it is a tough race. But to me, I don't know that I feel more confident in my chances of getting out of this race if I use 5 horses compared to using 2 horses, compared to using 7 horses. So to me, this race is just such a stab in the dark in my mind that I'm going to kind of just choose not to overthink it. And I'm probably just going to single the number 4, Glow of a Rose. We've all heard the song and dance. It's Wesley Ward at Keeneland. He's having an extremely strong meet. He's hitting it just under 30%. Rosario gets up, who tends to ride quite well for his first time starters. The workout reports, haven't seen them, but the workout reports on paper, he's coming off a bullet work, on October 8th, and then he has that 59 and change work out of the gate, 3 works back on September 24th. Would expect this one to flash speed early. Vekoma has been an extremely precocious freshman sire, getting 22% winners. The Dam Pink Twist won her debut, went on to be a pretty good New York bred, high-level allowance winner. So for me, I could throw in the 5. I could throw in the 12, the 10, the 9. I mean, there's a bunch of horses you could use in here, the 7. But I just don't want to spread that much in a race where I just think my money is better spent spreading elsewhere. So I'll probably go down with the 4 in this race, honestly. My only real opinion is that I don't want the 8 at all. Excuse me, it was 3-1. I thought that was a terrible effort last time out to open up like that on that field with that trip and to still just absolutely spit the bit and get run down late. I mean, 2.5 lengths in the stretch and running 3rd by 2 by the end of the race. I've kind of seen enough of that horse. Outstall runners are some of the rare types that don't necessarily get better with a couple of starts. Generally, they kind of win first or sometimes second out, and otherwise, I think I've seen enough. So I don't want anything to do with Solemn Vow. I'll probably go down with Glow of a Rose, the number 4.
Yeah, what's funny about the 8 Solemn Vow is, right? I normally like these types of horses, right? Like you got a bunch of firsters, and you take a horse that's run okay with experience, right? But then, like, I look at time form, right? I look at the figure. I'm like, okay. But then I look at Buyer, right? And you see a 55, then you see a 69, right? And I'm like, all right, like, let's say this horse takes another step forward, right? And runs like a 72 or something like that, right? And I'm like, really? At Keeneland, a 72 is what's going to win this maiden race? Like, I don't know. That seems low. So I kind of just don't want to use that horse just based off the fact that I think that even with a little bit of improvement, it still might not be enough to win this race. And maybe and you're taking a short price on it, right? If this horse was 8-1, right? I think we have a different story. But like this is your morning light favorite. I can't get there. Like, sure, this horse can win, but I'm going to take three firsters here. Um, I'm with all you guys on the four, right? The four's prop. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the four ends up going off as your actual favorite. Vacoma's 24%, 2-year-old debut winners, right? I'm not. We've seen these Vacomas run their eyeballs out, the first out all the time, and it's a ward on top of it. Like, we don't have to talk about that. I am going to use the 5 as well, the Brad Cox horse. Maybe a little bit. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the one that gets better with another start or two. Looking at the breeding, but you know, Brad Cox is 20% first time out. This is his backyard. He's 35% to start the meet, or to this part of the meet. IRAD sees fit to ride here. I'm not. Everyone's going to see the same thing, right? You're looking at maybe your second or third choice here. The only horse I think, and Caleb actually, like you kind of mentioned this horse. I think the 7 is going to be the third horse, and I think that's all I'm going to use. I'm going to use the 4, 5, and 7 in this spot. I think the 7 makes a ton of sense in this spot. George Arnold, Rusty Arnold, not exactly a win machine first out, but he's got a positive ROI going, $2.02 and 11% there. But you see Johnny V getting up. And that kind of perked my interest. I'm like, oh, and like you look back, Johnny V's only ridden for Rusty Arnold, 16 times in the last year, 6 times here at Keeneland. Like, so I think, Johnny V, once again, one of the jocks who probably has a little bit of choice here, especially with firsters. And so I thought it was interesting that he gets aboard here. McLean's Music is definitely win early pedigree. And this is a very, very productive dam, and like I said, one of my favorite parts of using Formulator, right, is you get this little dam comparison chart, and 6 starters, 3 winners here for this dam, 1 for 4 at 2-year-old, but this is just a very, very productive dam, and I just think that maybe this is one that you're going to get a little bit of value on that has got some win early pedigree out of a productive family. So I thought that this horse was interesting. Like I said, Rusty Arnold usually always has a couple of really, really good runners here at Keeneland. So I like the 7 Music Burst here at a bit of a price, but those are the 3 I'm going to use. I'm going to use the 4, the 5, and the 7. Mark, any other horses you want to talk about?
No, nobody. You guys kind of led into some of the horses I had as more B types, but I think it's a really tough betting affair. I honestly really appreciate Caleb's approach. I think it's if you're playing a race being skinny when others are spreading, that's how you create value for yourself. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. You just have to be okay with being wrong a lot, and that's fine. So,
and if there's one thing that Caleb is okay with, it's being wrong a lot.
A lot.
Specifically in one race every 5. Let's move on to race 8.
But it's always the favorite, so it's easy to find. I mean, it's only 5 horses, so.
We got a turf allowance here. We're going to be going a mile and 16th on the main track, or on the main turf course, not the main track. Now, I'm interested because apparently this is the race that I'm supposed to be on the sneaky horse. And, I mean, I only got 2 horses in this race. I got my top pick's actually the 1 Theismann.
Yeah,
was that the David Aragona horse?
There's no shot you're getting 8 to 1 on that horse.
There's no way you're getting that. No way.
I mean, this is my top pick in this race. I thought this horse just makes all the sense. This is a horse that's rapidly improved the last 3 starts, right? Keeps Luis Saez, could get absolutely loose on the lead depending on what my second choice in this race, the 3, this is Usker, does. And
you're taking the dirt horse.
I am taking the dirt horse because I look at the breeding and I see that this is a horse that's been running on the wrong surface.
But what happened when the horse did run on the right surface?
What happened? That was literally the horse's. Oh, that wasn't the horse's first start. That was the horse's 3rd start as a 2-year-old. Like, come on, like we'll give it a break. And then look what the horse did on synthetic. I mean, I don't know. I think that it wouldn't be insane for this is Oscar to take to the turf with that pedigree. So, but those are the only two horses I need. I mean, like this looks like a race devoid of speed. You get Luis Saez on what is definitely going to be speed in this race, and then I'm going to use the 3. This is Oscar, hoping that this is a horse that kind of takes to his breeding and is able to run well here on the turf. And this is something that, like, Caleb, I know I mentioned before, like I feel like a lot of times the turf numbers in general and time form are a little bit higher than dirt figures are. So like realistically, right, if this horse does take to the turf, I mean you're gonna see an improvement, I think, on some of the figures, and I think, like, if this horse is able to run like a 120 here, I think that horse is absolutely right in with the rest of them. What's time form got this race rated as 119? So yeah. But yeah, I got the 1 as an A, I got the 3 as a lone B. And like I said, if anything, I would probably maybe just instead of singling the leg before, I'd single the 1 in this race. But Caleb, since you said that there's no way we're getting 8-1 on this horse, I'm guessing you like it.
Yeah, surprisingly, I see this race identical to you, Josh. The 1's my top pick in here. Inside drawn, speed, doesn't have to go to the front, but has the ability to be forwardly placed if Saez decides. Once they stretch this horse out to a turf route, perfect 2 for 2. Just all the reasons you said. I mean, Theismann, I think, is a very, very logical runner in this place. And I agree with you on this as Uskar. I would want a better price than 9-2. That feels kind of suspect to me, and I think you get it. These are not flashy connections. This horse doesn't have a whole lot of turf form. It's not even like he's coming in off of a bunch of wins. I think you get considerably better than 9-2 on this horse, or I hope that you do, because I'm with you. I like this horse. I think the breeding is screaming for turf. I mean, the 2 tries on synthetic the try on synthetic was good. They tried to get him on turf at Keeneland next out. That got washed off. Got a win anyway. The 1 turf try was a sprint also. So, I mean, who cares? This horse always wants to go long. So, to me, yeah, I mean, I really like this as Uskar. I completely agree with you, Josh. Those are my top 2 selections. I gave a look to the 5 degree of risk. Probably going to be your favorite. I don't really know. But maybe as one more who's, maybe a bit of a more logical runner, but ultimately a horse just doesn't win a lot. And what is going to be a pretty short price and not really, dropping in class or getting any considerable class relief here. It's tough for me to make the argument why today is the day this horse gets done. So ultimately I'm with you. I landed up on 1-3.
Yeah, so Theismann, the 1, probably my top pick in this race. Kind of agreeing with both of you. Makes a ton of sense in here. But I'll throw out there a couple of horses that you guys haven't talked about yet. So first off is the 6 horse for Rudy Bissett, Greenlight. Horse has never missed the exact at Keeneland. 3 of 6 this trip, and has never missed the board going this trip. And a horse that it hasn't really been a win monster, but just seems to be those horses that really, really likes Keeneland. I think you can just draw a line through the last Kentucky Downs race. Some horses just don't like that, don't like that surface. They don't like the hills, all those types of pieces. And I think if you look at the figures, this is a horse that fits in this, within this group quite well. Other horse that I thought was a little interesting is way on the outside for Neil Drysdale. That's 911 Turbo, a horse that was a West Coast invader, and I think we kind of always have questioned this one. Not a horse that's ever been a real win machine, but another horse that's never missed the exact at Keeneland. You're going to get kind of 6-1 on this horse. You're getting Joe Rosario up. A lot of things in here to like. Last win was a long time ago, but last one was at Keeneland. So I think you can kind of, again, I think Keeneland to me is one of those surfaces that is just very specific to itself, where certain horses just really like Keeneland and certain horses really, really run well at Keeneland. So I think, 1, 6, and 11 were the horses I was most interested in. And I know, Nick Sievers did sort of toss out the Aragona horse with the 2 horse Miranda Rights. It was a horse I looked at for a very long time, and with an even mildly competent jock up, I would be much more interested in this one. My real concern with Miranda Rights is a horse that just doesn't consistently show up, and also doesn't really win a lot. But you can make that case for a lot of horses in here. So I think if you're in the case you're looking for a price and you're trying to find some of in a race where a lot of these don't win a lot, if you're going to take a 3 for 14, this is Uskar at 9-2, I'd much rather take a 3 for 20 Miranda Rights at 30-1. I think it's a horse where there's a lot of value if this one does kind of show up. And that horse does have some races that brings if Miranda Rights brings it brings the horse's A stuff, brings his A stuff, it does kind of fit within this field. So but I would imagine with Aragona being on this horse and me seeing it, you're probably not going to get 30-1. You may get more like 15-1. So but there is a price, right?
Penn State Scott likes the one as well, so that should
Want to be your favorite at this rate?
Yeah.
Probably.
Anything else on this race?
No. Again, it's a race that I think I could have half the field, and to me, it's a very flat race. I'm kind of playing the pace angle, like you mentioned, Josh. Taking horses that'll be forwardly placed in a race that doesn't seem like it has much speed, but on time form, I mean, the race looks extremely flat. I'll be curious what thoroughgraphs look like later when I take a look, because on time form, I mean, there's only about 4 or 5 points that blankets this whole field. So
yeah, I looked a little bit at 911 Turbo, but because I remember Kentucky Downs being very, very speed favoring, right? And you look at that September 10th race, right? You see the blue fractions, right? And this is the horse that closed, but I mean, didn't really make up that much ground, right? Still ended up losing by 4 1/4 lengths. And if you kind of look at the running lines, I mean, the horse that was in second ended up finishing sixth. So it felt like a lot of the horses kind of did pass some tired horses, but the winner did go wire to wire. So and came back to run run back to that figure. Like I said, I feel like the while I know Caleb, you put us in our place with the stats that the runners themselves aren't winning. I do think that the figures are legit. I feel like they've shown up. So I do think you can probably believe that 120, which I think does fit. 911 Turbo fits in this race here, so that could be one. I just think that he might have too much to do here with the lack of pace in this race. So I did think he was interesting.
I'm just glad one of us was right about the trainer stat that we mentioned last week. So, yeah.
What was that?
My Detro stat. I said I thought his barn hadn't been running well, and he's still got just one win.
Honestly, dude, I wouldn't hate like a 1-3 over 11 like trifecta or exacta. Like I think that might be a little.
Honestly,
I
would say I don't like your 3 at all, but I would say trying to get horses like that 2. I think it's one of those things. I mentioned that 2. It was an Aragona horse. If you're gonna get 15 or 21 on that horse, that's the kind of horse maybe you key up and down in a trifecta, right? You build around a big price like that just needs to hit the board, and then you get a huge payout. So I think those are the kind of fun horses to build around if you're playing tries, supers, those types of things.
All right, let's move on to the Raven Run here. Going 7 furlongs here for 3-year-old fillies, grade 2. Your morning line favorite in this race is the 9 Ragtime. You get 4-1 on Quiet Side, and then you get 9-2 on Usha. And then you start getting some bigger price. 8-1 Simply Joking. I think you get double digits on everybody else in this race. Mark, I'll let you go first. Where did you land here?
Oh, you're calling on me first here. I was really hoping I could go last to this one, but no. I think this is another really tough race. Obviously, you have a Baffert coming in here in Usha, who is probably very well meant, and then you have a horse like Ragtime. And we always talk about these Bill Mott horses. When they win at debut, they're probably very talented, and this is a horse that's now rattled off 3 of 4 and is very, very close. with the exception of that one race in the test to Killwin, of being 4 for 4 lifetimes. So I think Ragtime is a major player here, but I have a horrible feeling I'm going to be on the same top horse as Josh, and I don't often make comments about a jockey that probably should be deported, but there was a case last weekend where am I getting?
I'm canceling you for saying that.
Call ice.
Oh, you're canceling.
Yeah, I know that you can't.
Okay.
You can't say that.
I can't say that about Sheldon Russell. Really?
No.
We can't deport Sheldon. Okay.
No, we cannot.
So my top pick in this race is gonna be Maida, who Sheldon Russell is on, and this is a horse that has improved in all 4 starts. It's Brittany Russell's is sort of an interesting trainer in the fact that I still kind of think of her as being a small market trainer, but she's got a huge number of starters and she wins a crazy percentage and she wins a ton of races. She just does it in the Mid-Atlantic where they don't get as much national attention as other places. And if you're a time form truther, that last out figure is absolutely monstrous in this field. And I think that this horse kind of gets ignored on the board. I think they're going to look and see, they're going to do the Caleb. They're going to see, oh, this horse is winning at Pimlico, Laurel, and Delaware, and therefore is suspect. And they're going to let this horse go at 8 or 10 to 1. And I think Maida goes to the front end here in this race and just might not stop. Now we just need to get Sheldon to realize he's not riding Secretariat and he needs to not be stupid, but which is a tall ask for him on certain days. But I think Maida here at a bit of a price is going to end up being my top play.
Sheldon Russell was born in Louisiana. Okay. You want something like, come on, what in the world, man? This is
it's a third world country, right?
Caleb, where did you land? Get us back on track.
Yeah, I mean, to talk to Mark's horse for a second, I actually hate this horse, but at 10 to 1, I won't knock it. I just don't think you're going to get 10 to 1. I mean, the horse has a very fast last out figure on any set of figures I've looked at. My big issue, and you brought up Brittany Russell and how many races she wins, and that's true, but she's just not a barn that can take her show on the road. I mean, we routinely see these stomps from the Mid-Atlantic circuit that have good figures that ship into New York or ship into Kentucky, and they just stink. I mean, she's 1 for 18 lifetime at Keeneland. I mean, she does not ship outside of the Laurel, Delaware, Pimlico circuit well whatsoever. I'm highly skeptical that figure's real, and if it is real, I'm pretty confident she's going to bounce to the moon off that effort. So, yeah, I mean, to me, she may be controlling speed. In fact, she certainly should be, I would think. But at 10 to 1, I would have her as a B. I think she goes off more like 5 to 1, at which point I just don't think she offers any value to me. I actually had so there's 2, what I think, extremely suspect figures in this race. The one is by the 7, Maida. The other one's the number 1 horse, Delightful Claire, who ran a monster race while breaking her maiden at Saratoga by 9 lengths. Ran a 123 on time form, which was just monstrous. And then kind of came back and didn't run poorly in the Prioress or the Dogwood, but it didn't get back to that 123 either. The good news is you don't need a 123 to win this race. In all likelihood, a 113 to 115 is probably going to get you a real good shot to win. And her last 2 races were right around there, 114 and 112. I don't see a ton of speed in this race. Like I said earlier, Maida maybe is your most likely leader. But if not, I do think that Rosario from the rail, to Josh's, one of his many points about Rosario is that if he realizes that he's good in the lead, I mean, this horse, if he's ridden aggressively, I mean, she could be tough. So this is a horse that I do want to use, especially again at that 10 to 1 price. Don't know if we get that number on her either, but my guess is we get closer to half of that. But she's one that I do have some interest in. And then the number 10, Simply Joking, is a horse that I've always kind of liked. I followed her through the fairground circuit, and I kind of thought, as she went on to win the Silver Bullet Day and ran well in the fantasy, I kind of thought she was outrunning her pedigree a little bit. If you look at, Practical Joke over an Dubai mare, this horse in all likelihood is a sprinter, or at least like a 1-turn miler kind of a horse. I just never liked her on the stretch out, and I think she it was a testament to her ability that she was able to win some of those races and run as well as she did. In the Kentucky Oaks, finally the wheels kind of fell off, I think. Maybe didn't like the sloppy track that day. Maybe didn't love all the kickback. Maybe didn't like the distance. But obviously, something went awry there. She gets some time off, gets a barn change to Mike McCarthy. The works have been just burning up the page ever since the barn change here. I mean, just, absolute sizzler after sizzler of workouts. And Mike McCarthy is not really a guy that works his horses that fast. I mean, he's not like a Bob Baffert or, another one of these guys who tends to work their horses quick. So that's pretty telling for me that this is a horse that I'm expecting to see speed out of. And I'm expecting this to be more of a target race compared to a horse like Quiet Side immediately to her outside, who I kind of wonder if this is more of a prep race, get her a race under her belt. And then kind of gear up for the Oaklawn season where John Ortiz is typically stabled. I'm much more interested in Simply Joking, especially at twice the price. So she's one that I'll be using prominently throughout my tickets.
I see Nick. Mark was asking Nick Severs if he's in the 400 tomorrow. He says probably not, but watching Josh talk turf pick 3 may talk me into it. So maybe he thinks there's gonna be a lot of dumb money tomorrow. Like I don't know what that means, but I actually landed on 2 horses you guys didn't talk about. I'm going back to the Quiet Side well, and I thought this is a horse that had a lot of a lot of talent going into the Kentucky Oaks, and this is a horse I was all over in the Kentucky Oaks, and unfortunately, for one reason or another, right, didn't run really really well in that. And I think similar to what you're saying about the 10, maybe I mean, this is a horse that was running well at a mile and 16th, but maybe just that going that extra 16th of a mile is too much. I'm not really sure, but I like the horse on the layoff. Jose Ortiz sees fit to jump back aboard this horse, and I don't hate the cutback here for this horse. So this is a horse that we did see run a 111 in the spin away the year before. So it does have a nice figure going the 7 furlong distance. So I thought Quiet Side was really interesting here on the cutback. And then the other horse I actually liked was the 5 Almond Joy.
Ah, there it is. Yep.
Now let me paint a picture for you. Let me paint a picture for you.
Is it that time of month?
Look, it's the end of the month, man. The first comes around pretty quickly, so I think you might just have to pay the rent with Kent here. But I mean, this is a horse that is 5 for 5 the last 5 races. Granted, 4 of those were California bred races, but then comes back into Torrey Pines and is able to close and win at Del Mar. Now, granted, that's a 2-turn race at Del Mar. But this is a horse that has got wins at various distances. I think this horse does need to probably needs to take a step forward and improve here. But like Caleb said that he doesn't see a ton of pace. Time Form thinks that this might be a fast pace. I think you do have a couple of leaders, but I think if you do get kind of a fast pace up front, I think a horse like the 5 Almond Joy could surprise a bit here. I think it's super interesting that if Kent really is shipping in for this, that he's coming in here for the 1 mount. So I really like the 5 Almond Joy in here, and those are the only 2 I'm using. I'm using the 5 Almond Joy. I'm using the 11 Quiet Side, and I'm gonna be pretty skinny here through this leg.
Yeah, probably do need to at least address the favorite number 9 Ragtime. I have nothing against this filly. I probably will use her, but I just didn't find her very interesting to talk about. But any strong cases why we were against Ragtime, or just using her but didn't think she's interesting enough to mention?
I mentioned her.
Okay, I must have missed it, Mark.
I don't know. Like, you see the 3 straight 111s. I mean, like, do you think that maybe this is a horse that's kind of peaked a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's an argument. I think of the short priced horses, she's probably the one I like the least. She just has not consistently taken those steps forward. But again, I know Caleb talks about this all the time. When you see a Bilmont first, a maiden who breaks their breaks their maiden at first ask, they're normally pretty talented. We saw this with the Murphy horse, in the Breeders' Cup, right? That's how a bunch of us landed on that horse. So yeah, I like Ragtime. I just think that 3-1 isn't the price I want on her in this spot. She's going to need to take a step forward to win this.
Yeah, I just think it's a fun race because it's interesting to see. I mean, Baffert is a shipper in whom we haven't talked about, who on time form is a big player in here. I mean, you've got the two or three Oaks horses that are coming off layoffs. We're not sure what we'll see from them. So I could see all those horses taking some money, and I don't know that Ragtime's going to be quite as short as 3-1. But yeah, it's a fun race.
Anything else in this race? All right. Let's move on to the closing leg here. We got a turf maiden, 2-year-old filly turf maiden, going a mile on the turf. And, Mark, I think you put it best, right? I believe Benjamin Franklin once said that, was it beer or was it whiskey is proof that God loves us?
A beer.
It's a beer?
Yeah, it's beer.
I think this race is proof that Keeneland hates us. But granted, like in the turf pick 3, you get these kinds of races and stuff like that. I kind of took the old adage, right? You're going 2 turns here on the turf. You probably don't want to take a firster in here. So I have 2 A's and 2 B's. The 2 A's I have, I mean, I think Shane's the Brains is probably the horse I like the most in this race of horses with starts. I mean, granted, didn't really show a ton there, but right, Kentucky Downs is a tough track. But I think the fact that Frankie Dettori gets aboard here is probably a bit of a good sign. And I'm just hoping for a better effort second time out. The 78 time form figure fits in with what a bunch of these other horses have run. But this is a horse that went 6.5 at Kentucky Downs, which I think is at least kind of similar to going a mile at Keeneland, right? So I think that one start is probably built a bit of fitness into this horse. This is a horse that went off at 5-1 at Kentucky Downs, so the horse was at least somewhat bet that first time. So I thought Shane's the Brains was probably the one I liked the best, and then I like the number 4 Minstrelli here. It's the horse that went off at 15-1 last time, right? But was a horse that passed some other horses in that effort. Has gone 2 turns there on the turf. So I'm just kind of looking for, like I said, horses that have some runs under them or has a run under them that maybe shows that this horse is going to help kind of fill out a little bit. So I don't know. I thought this was just like a tough race especially because I think a lot of the horses that have starts, they all kind of, on time form are all within a couple points together. And then I think of the firsters, I think the 1 and the 2, I have those both as B's. I think those are obviously, War of Will, not exactly off to the greatest of starts. I want to say it's something like 7% first-time starters or first-time turfers. So, not great stats there. Kenny McPeak is okay first time, right? He's 11%, but first time turf, he's 5%. You see Jose getting aboard, so I kind of like that. But I still think going 2 turns on the turf for a 2-year-old is tough to do first out. So I have this horse only as a B here. The works look really good, right? This looks like a horse that fired a bullet back in August. Had a couple maintenance works and came back and fired 47-4 here. So looks like a horse that should be primed to run. So I have that horse as a B. And then I think the number 2, Treasure Time. Essential Qualities 0 for 15 debut turf so far. But I did think that this might be, um, seeing Safi Joseph ship a firster up to Keeneland. Um, maybe trying to be a little sneaky here, maybe a little kind of well meant in this spot. Gets Tyler aboard, who rides for Safi a lot. Safi's obviously really good first time starting, not necessarily as good first time turf, but you're getting 8 to 1. I think a lot of the other first or the other second timers don't really do much for me. So I think the 1 and the 2 kind of the ones that stuck out to me for firsters. So I got the 4 and 8 as A's. I got the 1 and 2 as B's. Caleb, where did you land here?
Yeah, so we're not too different, Josh. I do like the 8. Shane's the Brains, probably my top pick or maybe second pick in here. All the reasons you mentioned. This is a horse that kind of ran evenly in that Kentucky Downs race. Should step forward here. That was a merry-go-round race where literally 0 horses made up ground. So it's hard to take too much out of that. But this horse did run on and have a gallop out that would suggest that a little more ground might be beneficial to this one. Like the blinkers going on here, maybe get a bit more aggressive, switching to Frankie Dettori and adding the blinkers here. So I do like Shane's the Brains. The number 5, Angelic Katie, is another one that I do like. Only been out once. Ran decent in that Kentucky Downs race as well. Again, not the greatest of trips that day. Was kind of chasing behind a slow pace. Was super wide the whole time. Was dismissed on the board that day, but ended up splitting the field and actually did kind of pass a few runners late. Another one who I think, maybe despite the pedigree of being by Munnings, visually looked like one who would appreciate some more ground. And I do find it interesting that Ben Curtis ends up getting the mount here, who I think is a criminally underrated jockey, especially on the turf. So I like the Curtis getting up for a small barn here at Kentucky. We tend to see these kind of small barns often win at Keeneland with these peculiar shippers. So I do like Angelic Katie in here as well. And then the last one is one you've already talked about, Patron Silver or Patron Silver. I don't love Kenny McPeak with debut runners on turf, and I don't love War of Will. The only reason I'm considering this horse as mostly kind of as a B play for me is that 2 of 8 siblings did break their maiden at first asking. 2 of them did win on the turf. And when Jose Ortiz gets up for Kenny McPeak, they are quite good together. I'm not mostly the connections guy between the 3 of us, but when you're hitting it just under 50% together with a sizable sample size, you got to take notice. So I do think that Jose getting up here is pretty telling, especially because he rode the Mark Cassie horse, the number 7 Backgammon, last time out. No downgrade by getting IRAD, but it's still a little bit telling to me that Jose ends up on the 1 in here, as I doubt he was bumped off the Cassie runner. So to me, I like the 1, 5, and 8. I did look at your 2, but using Formulator, in a race like this can maybe help me screen out some of those fringe players a little bit. Safi Joseph, last 5 years with 2-year-old first-time starters on turf, 0 for 44. So for me, that kind of was enough to push him into the no thank you category. That on top of the fact that Essential Quality has not been a very strong turf sire so far. So for me, it was the 5 and the 8 is my A's and the 1 is my B.
Yeah, by the way, on Essential Quality, 0 for 15 debut turf sire. Not to dunk on Josh's horse, but let's just dunk on Josh's horse. No, I landed pretty similar to you guys. 1, 5, and 8, I thought were the 3 most interesting players. In here, I don't have a ton of anything creative to say about anybody else, but I will say if there are scratches in the body of the race, which these races do tend to have happen, I thought 13, 14, 15, and 16 were all interesting players. So if anybody from those also eligible lists draw in, and I also think if you're a turnip player or somebody playing a pick 5, sometimes people just don't cap the also eligibles because they don't expect them to draw in. I thought all of those horses were very major players in this race should they draw in, and sometimes you find a lot of value in those types of horses because people don't expect them, therefore they don't bet them, and people don't revise their handicapping after scratches. And we see this all the time where there was 2 speed horses and one of them scratches out, you have lone speed and nobody slams the lone speed. You see those kind of angles. So I thought if any of the also eligibles were to draw in, they were all very interesting players in this race. So nothing creative to say on the body. I think this is I think both the maiden races in this sequence are extremely, extremely tough.
Anything else on this race?
Makes for a tough, a tough. If you're playing the pick 5, I mean, ending on this race is tough.
Yeah. It's one of those ones that like you almost hate getting alive into the last leg because you're like, I would pay anything to have more coverage than I have in those types of races. Like you want all of the coverage in those types of races. So.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the Wrong Lead. Check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drank. Caleb's at Caleb WVU. Mark's at 2 Turns. We got a new episode of Drank and Champagne up. We covered the Turf Pick 3 on Friday's card. We do have an early carryover at Keeneland on the early Pick 5, so make sure you carryover lovers are playing that. Caleb's already handicapped it. No, he hasn't. He's going to.
Yes.
And we'll have an episode of You've Got to Be Shot-Tinning Me up tomorrow night. So check that out. Obviously, check out our friends at Aim Wager. Get that sign-up bonus. Get ready for the Breeders' Cup there, and it helps us out. And it doesn't cost you anything, right? We just helps us know that. Exactly. And DRF.com. Check out their Breeders' Cup package. They'll have pre-entries available for all packages. You save $38 on either package, and I know Mark's a big proponent of the workout reports for Breeders' Cup, so check those out. And have a good weekend, guys. Let's make some money. And hey, it's Friday tomorrow. Don't work too hard. Play that Keeneland Pick 5.